A man is dead. We'd been friends since nursery school, Diane and I. She was always the one in charge, and I was her permanent tail. Somehow I found the courage to leave that town and develop my own life completely away from her influence. I know I upset her, even angered her, truth be told, though she unilaterally denied it. Diane was a stunner, even as a child. Face like the shining sun. The ribbons would fall off her sleek head even before the first class was over, and she'd carelessly stuff them in her pockets. The argosies those pockets held were always a wonder. You never needed a bit of tape or chewing gum or an eraser, a paper bag or a purple shoelace, but she could produce it from her pockets. Out of this pocket full of exuberance, she produced one day a bell. A small silvery one dangling from a velvet ribbon. "It's magic," she said. I reached for it with trembling hands, but she closed her fist around it and withdrew it. "It's magic, didn't I tell you? It's not a plaything for silly girls like you." As the controller of the relationship, Diane was unfailingly generous. Everything, anything, except that bell. She never let me touch it. She never even let me see it again. She blocked my questions completely for weeks and months until I reluctantly let the subject go. Years later, we were in the school playground one evening, teenagers now. The boys were playing football and it was slowly becoming dusk. The two of us were idling on the swings and I was teasing Diane about a new boyfriend. She had a never-ending supply of them, I moaned. Eager candidates waited on her beckoning, even though she discarded them in a steady stream, while I couldn't get even one pale and pimply fellow to ask for my favor. "It's the magic of the bell," she confessed. It took me a moment or two to remember, and then I laughed outright. But Diane became contemplative and distant, and strangely for her, silent. I don't know if that was the effect she intended, but it made me madly curious. I got after her, and she capitulated and told me this story. She must have wanted to tell it that day, for no amount of prodding had yielded fruit on the subject before. I didn't believe its craziness then, and I don't believe it now, and I know it to be completely impossible. But the Red Queen told Alice she sometimes believes as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast, and I'm certainly no queen. So here's her story. The bell was given to her by an old woman when we were just little girls. She had never forgotten the gnarled old hands, threaded with lumpy blue veins, chunky rings and violent orange nail polish. The pathetic air of desperation and ravaged beauty on the sagging face and scraggy neck, and the crazed, almost manic light in her eyes. The old crone had called Diane a beauty and put the bell into her hands before she could say yea or nay, and then told her most seriously that it was a magic bell. To think of the one she loved and ring it once, and he would love her back and twice as much, and when she'd had her fill of him, to think his name and ring it once more, and they would part amicably and naturally and go their own ways, and no one any the wiser. But once in a million, there'd be a one who wouldn't succumb straight away to the call of the bell. And in that case, she could try 3 times on 3 separate days, 3 days apart. That would usually do the job. But if he was a real hard case, there was only one thing to do. She must think his name and ring the bell 3 times. The bell would exact its own revenge. Diane need not fear, for nothing would ever be brought home to her. Then one day, when she tired of the game, she should find herself another beauty and pass on the bell. That was the only stipulation for its use. This outrageous story completely put paid to the idling on the swings. She'd said it far too seriously, her eyes boring into mine. Our hands clung to the chains and our feet gripped the ground as we half turned towards each other. There was a stunned silence when she finished. The boys were audible in the distance and the darkness gathered around us. Then the spell broke and I screamed with merriment, "You're too good, Diane. You should write a book of fantastic stories." She laughed too, saying she'd had me for a while though, hadn't she? And I admitted she had. We swung ourselves up into the darkening skies again, still chuckling merrily, waiting for her latest sweaty foot soldier to present himself from the playing field. Come to think of it, we'd slowly drifted apart after that. No big fight or anything, just picked different study streams and had different classes and slowly went separate ways. She remained the butterfly, sipping at every flower. She discarded boys and men with predictable regularity. Yet there was always a long line of them ready and willing to be the next one and the next one. Not a one ever begrudged her moving on, or ever said a word against her. No bar fights over her precious person, no bitter brawls for ascendancy in her affections, no ugly accusations when they were discarded. Somehow she managed all of them masterfully. The decades have rolled by since then, and we haven't had very much to do with each other. I don't think she ever had another girlfriend as close as we were then. But until recently, if we met or I heard about her from friends, there was still always a new candidate in tow, and aging hadn't diminished her charms a whit. But for the last few months, I've been hearing the oddest stories about Diane. I tried to be a good friend, if only an old ex-friend now, and quash the gossip, but it had a virulent life of its own and would not be tamed. Vicious remarks about her charms having finally failed her, and wasn't it about time at her age, and much more mean stuff than that. His name was Alistair. She'd set her cap at him, and he had, astoundingly, not laid down and surrendered. This was apocalyptic. Such a contretemps had never happened in collective memory. The buzz was huge. Everyone was agog and eager to gossip about it. They were laughing openly at her, and she was not used to that or the rejection. She didn't know how to handle it or herself. And while she could probably still have had any other man, she now wanted only Alistair. And Alistair, it seemed, wasn't willing. The situation continued for weeks, with Diane getting more desperate, Alistair more adamant, and the laughter more raucous. One day I heard that Alistair and several others had got food poisoning after a dinner party. The others spent a night at the hospital and went home soon enough, nursing a tender tummy. But Alistair sickened steadily, getting worse and worse with each passing day. The doctors were perplexed. Their treatment should be working, yet the patient was deteriorating. All the reports said he was well. Yet he was slipping inexorably beyond their reach. Medically, they did everything they could, and a few hundred things besides as they got increasingly desperate. Yet were left standing helplessly by, watching as his monitors flatlined and Alistair died, with all his parameters indicating how wonderfully healthy he was. It's been a fortnight now, and that blasted bell I'd never even heard has been ringing incessantly in my head. There's no escape from it. All day and all night, everywhere I turn, I see that little bell on its velvet ribbon and hear it ringing a death knell for poor Alistair. Did he pay the price for resisting the magic of the bell, however incredible it sounds? And will this murder, for murder I'm convinced it is, ever be brought home to Diane? She was once a good friend, it's true. But this Alistair died, Can I just ignore that? It's cold-blooded, premeditated murder. A woman scorned and all that. Just don't ask me for proof, for I have none, except my misgivings about the inexplicable death of a man I never met, and my ancient memories of a schoolyard at sunset.